So the question is, how do I keep my IT smart and slick? So I come up with the 4 points here, which are the vital ones. Any IT organization should have the planning with the vision of 1 year horizon, 3 years horizon, and 5 years horizon. We'll talk more about it later. On a regular basis, we should evaluate existing application suitability to the current business requirement. On a regular basis, we should assess the technical smartness of the application in the current world. We'll also talk more about it in the subsequent slides. We need to ensure that the application users and IT support personnel are always familiar with the functionalities of the applications that are being used. I already touched upon this before. We'll talk more about it, how to do it. Coming to the planning, as I mentioned, we should have a longer vision. So we should have a 5 years horizon. We should have a midterm vision, that is 3 years. And definitely we should have the 1 year planning. So if you talk about most of the organizations, definitely they have 1 year planning, almost 99.99% cases. Many of them have the 3 years planning also, but either they have a 3 years planning which is strong enough. Some of the organizations have the 3 year planning, but it's not a very strong enough. And there are organizations who probably do not have that kind of long-term vision. And I have seen very less organizations having a strong 5 year horizon. They have something probably in mind, but this is probably even documented, but not a very strongly committed one. So my recommendation is we should have a plan, and that should be on a 5 year horizon, 3 years horizon, and 1 year horizon. What should be thought, planned, and executed as a part of these plannings? First of all, get the input from the business regarding the upcoming changes. What I mean here, let's say they're going to get into a, let's say they're a manufacturing company. At the same time, they're thinking that in 3 years' time, they should open some retail outlets also. They don't want to depend on the dealers. Or they want to increase the efficiency of the communication with their suppliers and other partners. So they want EDI communication to be implemented across the partners. So let's say there's 2 examples. If we know well ahead in time when the business decides, so from the IT perspective, there can be a plan made. What is the most effective solution for them for the new business area, and how do we plan for that? How can we be ready before business goes live? Also in a similar line, I kind of touched upon the second point also in my example. What product, service development, or amendments in the company business domain coming up in the future? And also, what are the growing obstacles the current business users are facing? The obstacles may be because our earlier design was not enough to take care of them, or already in a subtle way some new changes have come to the business, what knowingly or unknowingly have gone out of our notice, both business and IT. However, users are facing the pain. We need to take care of that. Given these major inputs, we need to see what are the new upgrade or deployment or some infrastructure, for example, in the network that we need to implement. Any application not having any requirement now, do we need to retire them? What are the new projects or maintenance that we should budget based on the cost benefit analysis. We should also plan for the human resource planning. What I mean is like what additional training I need to put to my people. What are the areas due to technical expertise I should outsource? What are the areas it should be insourced because knowledge of the business is more important, for example. Or it may be like you have certain niche technical skill set what definitely will not get it so easily outside, so you want to insource that area, and continuously review along with the business leads. So coming to the next point, that is evaluate the application suitability to the business. The adaptability of the application that has to be inbuilt within the application. As I was mentioning previously, if I buy a package today or if I develop an application today, we need to think of the different business scenario which may come up very soon or which may come up in a horizon of 3 years or 5 years. Without revamping the whole application, can it be tweaked? Can it be configured to take care of the business situation? For example, if I am building a sales application, if I am going to add new channel partners, can it take care of it so easily? Or every time I need to make some new programs and which will go through the pain of development and testing, etc. Let's take an example that today one organization, they are delivering the products to different dealers or wholesalers from different OEM suppliers. Now 5 years ago, when this solution was developed based on the business requirement, the OEM suppliers used to take care of the delivery to the wholesalers based on the instruction that you were sending in your sales application or rather delivery logistic application. Now over the last 5 years, the situation has changed so much. There has been a like one-to-many or many-to-many relationship of the OEM and the wholesaler supply has come up. As a result, their entire truck doesn't get filled up every day or every week, whatever is the frequency. So now they are feeling either they should charge me extra or they are asking me to take care of an alternate option. So business has come up with alternate option that I should go for a third-party logistics who will use their own truck to pick up from different OEMs and deliver to different wholesalers. That way I have a cost-effective solution for the business. Now this is a kind of a quite change in the delivery model for IT. So can my system take care of such scenario? So if this has been inbuilt 5 years ago when the application was deployed, yes, probably with a little bit of effort it can be deployed. It's a very fair situation that it probably was not thought of. So now we need to make some custom development. But the advice is whenever we do the custom development, probably we need to be more probing to the business. Well, what are the different scenarios you are thinking of? In that case, if we at all changing our program, our application, in that case, we can incorporate those flexibilities also in our application. So the message here is every time whenever we are developing or configuring any product, we need to think of the future situation. Business will not come up so easily, so we need to involve them, and then as much as possible the scenario we need to cover so that it remains very young even after 3 years or 5 years and agile, that any business changes it can adapt very easily. If we are switching to a new product, it may cost higher. But we need to see that going forward in my next 5 years view, probably that will be most efficient and cost effective rather than maintaining the old application which is already costing me higher, and I am putting a lot of additional amendments to that. There should be an annual evaluation of, let's say, any application or group of applications that we are maintaining between the IT and business. That can be a kind of a format. Okay, what all things it is supposed to do? Is it serving to the business correctly? And in that case, we can come up with the points like, certain things are not working as expected, so either some amendment to the application needs to be done, or if it is really some application come up with, no, business has changed a lot, so we need to think of some alternate solution. So we need to have this conducted jointly between IT and business, because really IT does not know what business is going on, so that input has to come from the business. And once this practice is established, then we'll feel that it's not an expensive exercise. Whenever we are thinking about all these things new, so mobilizing people from different departments and making all this kind of project, they will be taken as a kind of a mini project. So project arrangement, etc., will appear to be expensive. But I assure you that once the practice is already there, in 1 year or 2 years time frame, will realize that this is no more an expensive exercise. I've given an example here. If a manufacturing organization decides to outsource design of some product components, how does the current application handle the change of business without letting business to do any manual work? So in general, the tendency is that design is taken care within the company, and then the manufacturing either is done in-house or original equipment manufacturers they do the manufacturing. However, the current trend is some of the component designs are also outsourced to the suppliers who are eligible enough. So let's say one organization has come up with this business strategy now. In that case, do I have the right software to support it? Do I have the right application to support it? So in that case, we need to spend time. We need to evaluate the right ERP solution rather than whatever is working, and we just try to customize the legacy solution. I'm not saying that we should not do that. If it is a really good, efficient legacy solution and a little bit of bolt-on will help rather than buying a new ERP, yes, go ahead and do that. But we need to be open to think about that. Assess the technical smartness of the application. When we, if we look back 10 years ago, kind of data traffic that used to go through our network, kind of data requirement of storing it into our database, they have changed a lot. Nowadays, data is really, really big, and anyone who works on any application development as a technical consultant or functional consultant know that any application development, the biggest challenge is the performance. How do the lot of data get faced and a report is produced in front of customer, or when the data maintenance, master data maintenance, or even a transactional data maintenance is required as a part of the day-to-day business. That time, if the database performance is not good enough, in that case, however good the functionality is, the business is impacted. So therefore, we need to continuously assess the technical smartness. That means technically, is it giving me the right result for business? Is the current network capable of handling traffic? Does the system respond to the users effectively? Do the batch jobs take longer time to finish? For example, 5 years ago when I designed it, it used to start in the midnight and end by 2 o'clock in the morning. Now it is going to 5 a.m. So if we don't pay any attention, very soon it will become 7 a.m. and business will start shouting that my information is not ready, my report is not ready, so how do I start my business? I want to start my day at 7 o'clock. So basically that fastness has to come within the system. So we need to consider adding additional memory, disk, or boxes within the current technology infrastructure if it is a scalable one. So which is a very easy one. If you have more data to handle, more data traffic to handle, in that case add memory at the disk. Also, when you go to the hardware or the network technology, it's quite complex. And over the period of time, there are a lot of adapters, a lot of softwares, they are involved in those areas. If they're obsolete, they won't be able to handle the new scenario. So we need to consider the right technology for hardware and network to be put, or upgrading the latest one, so that the business requirement of fast data movement is not compromised. And the kind of same thing what I mentioned, as if additional infrastructure capabilities required. What is the benchmark? So it's not that we just need to put the latest technology, the very first database infrastructure to face the reports and to update the records. That's not required, because if business is coming to work at 7 o'clock, if my batch job finishes at 4 o'clock, then also it is fine. So we need to be kind of pragmatic here, that what is my requirement? Is it required to upgrade immediately? So we need to go ahead and see what kind of technology I should use against the number of users, against my data size, my number of transactions. So whatever technology we are using, whatever solutions we are using, whatever platforms we are using. So that benchmark based on the best practices in the market we need to apply here. One example here, going forward, the top exec community of the company would access the reports and approval workflow from their handheld devices like tablets and mobiles, rather than the traditional way of going through the laptop and approving it. Because nowadays the business definition has changed. So they are probably always in a different meeting, on travel, and at the same time the things that definitely require their approval, or the data that definitely they need to know every 1 hour, that requirement does not change. So the only way to serve is that I need to port those functionalities to the tablets or mobiles that are like approved by the company, that they should be able to use that. So do my IT system allow that? If not, probably we are going to or rather the business is going to lose a competitive edge over their competitors, because the top execs need to be efficient enough. Knowledge of the application. I'll spend the minimum time here because all of us will agree to this. Organization should not lose the knowledge of the application. And unfortunately, this is a very common phenomena for most of the organizations. The reasons are the user manuals are not maintained properly. We do not have a process of retraining or transition handover. And also, when the applications come into live production, design documents are there, they never get updated. What is the consequence? Definitely, if we do not know the application very well, I cannot use that application to its best potential. And when something breaks, that time, due to lack of knowledge, it takes a lot of time to restore the service. So that means downtime increases. If the downtime increases, that means business is waiting for the work to be done. So there would be some monetary loss that would be incurred. And whenever you are going for, let's say, a new project and revamping this, so some of the best practices that are incorporated in those applications, they are lost forever. So what is the recommendation? The very important proper and regular maintenance of the documentation, that is something the IT leadership team of any organization has to come up and enforce it. There should be annual refresher training for both IT service teams and business users as well. And any handover or transition, either at the business user level or at the IT support team level, they have to be taken out very seriously.